In the last video, we headed from Cape May down to Delaware on the ferry, and we were spending New Year's weekend at Trap Pond State Park in a rustic cabin right next to the pond. The cabin has heat and electricity and a tiny fridge, but it doesn't have a bathroom or any cooking facilities, so all of your cooking is meant to be done outside. We've got our oatmeal with blueberries. I cut up a pear and put some peanut butter on there and coconut flakes. So that's breakfast. The sun is sort of coming out a little bit. It's like back and forth, so we're just glad it's not raining anymore and it's supposed to be a little bit warmer today so we can enjoy being outside for a longer time. After a really rainy, cloudy day yesterday, we were looking forward to a bit of sunshine and a little bit more warmth. We wanted to go over and see the island campsites. There are actually 2 campsites that you have to go over a bridge to. And we thought this would be a great place to camp if you had friends with you. So then you're pretty close to each other, but if you were like camping out here with friends,
yeah, I got it.
You have your own little area.
Yeah, that'd be really cool with friends.
I just felt bad for them last night when it was pouring. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's the kind of rain that's not fun to be in a tent. We walked up to the front gate because we found out we were still supposed to check in even though we came in late. And this was also where you go to get water in the winter. It's the only working water access. This is where you have to come for the water. It's right underneath the little lending library. And then this is where you can rent bikes. And then that shed right there is the firewood. And Redford saying hello to the check-in person. Red. Oh, he got a bone. That's so cute. Bob Trail. I think it's the longest trail. It goes around like most of the park, yeah. Since it was so much nicer today, we decided we wanted to get out and get as much exercise as possible. So we were going to do the full loop around the lake. Trap Pond was created in the late 1700s as a way to power a sawmill. They were harvesting the bald cypress that were growing in the area. But then the federal government purchased the land from the farm owners, and the CCC began to turn it into a recreational area. On the other side of the bridge, they have a nature center, but it was closed when we were there. In 1951, Trap Pond became one of Delaware's first state parks. It has a good network of trails that you can walk around the pond and do some hiking. They also have paddling trails if you want to kayak or canoe on the pond or go up into the cypress. And there's also some interesting historical sites. As we followed the trail around the pond, we came out to the Bethesda Church. This is a church that was built in 1879, and it was really a center of the community in this area for a very long time. It sat vacant for a while and the building started to deteriorate until it was purchased by the Delaware Park Service in 2000, and they tried to preserve as much of the original structure as possible. When it was finished with the restoration in 2008, it became a site where private events could be held, and the Park Service can preserve this important part of history for the region. Sometimes we think about the Park Service as working on protecting nature, but they really also have a big hand in protecting history. We left the Bethesda Church area. Unfortunately, the church wasn't open when we were there. Sometimes they do have it open so you can see the cypress woodwork that is inside. We continued on the trail and we came to my favorite part of the walk, which was this bridge that goes over the swamp. And this is the farthest part that you can kayak up to because then there's just too many trees fallen. But it's a great area with the moss and the lichens growing on everything and seeing the slow trickling water moving underneath the bridge. We continued around the rest of the pond to finish the roughly 5-mile loop of mostly flat ground. We headed back to the cabin to warm up. Redford is so tired. We walked a little over 5 miles today, and I have to say I am really pretty impressed with the Delaware parks. We were able to check in late. We called and just let them know, and they had a packet waiting for us on the table. They left the door open, but they gave us the code in case it was locked. And they leave you a full color map and everything that you need. For $55 a night, they have one of the only dog-friendly cabins that I really know of. And you get a refrigerator with a freezer, and this place is heated. And I wasn't sure like how well the heat was going to work, but it works pretty well. Heater in here in the bedroom, and then 2 heaters on either side out in the living room. And it's so nice when you're outside and you're cold just to know that you can come inside and warm up, because it's a different situation when you're staying in a tent and you know the only thing you can really do to get warm is like huddle around a campfire, which is so tricky. To actually walk into the cabin and it's warm is so cozy. I'm really enjoying it. I hope that we get to come back here in the summer because I feel like the kayaking opportunities are just great. And the other thing is this park is actually really close to Assateague, and for the last couple weeks I've been trying to get reservations at Assateague for June. So it's January right now, and June, 6 months from now, has kind of proven to be one of the hardest campsites I've ever tried to book. They open up at 10 a.m. 6 months ahead, and I was literally on my computer at 10 a.m., had it loaded into my cart, and I was ready to push the button. As it turned to 10 o'clock, I hit submit, and that quickly somebody else had already reserved it. The oceanfront campsites at Assateague are highly competitive. I'm really not sure how people are able to book them that quickly, but they are. So I think we might end up doing the Bayside next time, but we're so close that we could actually drive there for the day if we wanted to. So this is a really nice option. You could get a cabin or a yurt or a campsite right on the water, hot showers, nice bathhouse, kayaking all around the lake, and then you could pop over to Assateague and get a little bit of beach time. So hopefully we'll get to do that this summer. As I started to get dinner ready, we looked over at the pond, and this beautiful layer of fog and mist was floating just above the pond as the temperature started to drop. I wanted to make a nice hearty dinner after all of our hours outside walking and being out in the cold. So I started to make tacos, and Patrick got the fire going because we definitely wanted to get some time outside since our campfire was rained out the night before. And I was able to take the tortillas that we were using for the tacos and I put them on the grill right by the fire to warm them up. After dinner, we enjoyed some hot chocolate that we warmed up on the fire, and then we let the fire die out before we headed to bed. The next morning it was time for us to pack everything up, clean up the cabin, and start to head toward the ferry so we could catch the ferry from Delaware back up to Cape May. We really enjoyed our stay at Trap Pond State Park, and we look forward to coming back for sure, hopefully next season.
Thanks for doing more things.
All right, Red, to the car. Here's our cabin, and then here's the shed where they keep all the wheelbarrows, bathrooms, and then the car. So it's a little bit of a walk, but really not too bad. Thanks for coming along with us on this New Year's weekend trip. We are getting very excited for the upcoming year and the upcoming camping season as we start to plan some of our trips with the Scamp and kayaking and hopefully doing some backpacking. So we hope that you stick around, make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss out on those future adventures.
Injustice, the next president to be, the news and what you hear, your career. It's time for you to face those fears, and it's all fair to be aware, and I'll be there, so don't be scared. Just take a deep breath of air, and 1, 2, 3 to 10, you begin to focus again, and though time flies, we'll have enough to realize this bigger than the both of us.